Tony Khan is putting his foot down and is said to be denying any and all talent requests for their releases. There were reports of some AEW names asking for their release recently. Andrade's name has been floating around as being one of them. And he's been posting a lot of cryptic stuff on Twitter. Time, what do you call those things? The time hourglass. Like he's carrying cross or something, right? I think that's just him feeding into all this and playing games. But Andrade has been announced for Rampage this Friday. He's going to be putting his career on the line against Preston Vance of the Dark Order, who is putting his mask on the line. So it's mask against career. And it's going to be the 2-year anniversary of Brody Lee's final match, which was the dog collar match against Cody Rhodes. I still think that Preston Vance is losing the mask and Andrade is not going anywhere. But it's smart to play into it. I actually like the idea that they're doing this. Now, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there is something going on here and Andrade is going to lose and he's going to be gone. Although that would go against the reports that Tony Khan is not releasing anybody early from their contract. But I think it's smart if it goes the way that I think it's going to go, which is just them trying to, lean into all the rumors and reports, and people are going to buy into it. There are going to be people tuning in now to Rampage who probably otherwise would not be, thinking that, hey, maybe this is going to be Andrade's last match. But I don't think it is going to be. Now, as far as Tony Khan dropping the hammer and saying no releases, you're under contract, you're going to fulfill your terms, and that's the end of it, I still think, this is my opinion here, I still think that it depends on the situation. I think you deal with things on a case-by-case basis. Everybody's situation is different. I mean, it doesn't have to be creative differences. It could be something personal going on. Somebody wants to step away. You deal with it on a case-by-case basis if somebody wants out. But I can already see the questions coming. How is this any different than Vince McMahon denying Mustafa Ali's request for his release and refusing to let him out of his contract? Or Luke Harper, or anybody else that the big bad Fed kept under contract like they were being held hostage? It isn't totally different. I still believe that if somebody works for you and they are completely miserable and they want out, like I said, you take it on a case-by-case basis. You meet with that person, you talk to them, you see what their issues are, you try to work something out, because it doesn't serve anybody's best interest if this person is going to be moping around with a fucking puss on their face in the back, or if they're going to be a cancer in the locker room and they're going to walk around and they're going to talk to other people and tell other people what their problems are, and now other people feel the same way. You can't let that fester. It doesn't serve anybody any good. So try to talk it out, figure out what the issue is, work through it. And if something can't be worked out, then I don't think somebody who doesn't want to be there should be forced to be there. But there may have to be conditions attached, depending on how much time they have left on their deal. This is not the same as the Ali situation. Ali had a blow-up over creative with Vince McMahon. He was kept off television out of spite for 3 months. He sat at home. This was less than a year after being off television for 7 months. For absolutely no reason other than creative had nothing for him. He wasn't hurt. He was ready to go. He was ready to go to work. He was probably hanging out backstage and catering. You add it up, that's 10 months of his career, almost a year of his prime, wasted. Now, Tony Khan hasn't been doing a great job of getting everybody featured that he should be featuring either. Even Dax Harwood, I saw after FTR wrestled Aussie Open at the New Japan Royal Quest show last night, which I heard was a fantastic match. And Dax got on the mic when the match was over, and he really put them over. He said they're the team of the future, and he even said, dare I say, they may be the best team right now in the world. Even more than FTR. But when he got on the mic before he said that, he said, hey, Tony Khan, we still work for you. Book us, brother. We could get into my issues with Tony Khan's booking with FTR or with Wardlow, who they've cooled down since Double or Nothing. Wardlow, what they've done or haven't done with him since the end of May when he won the TNT title is absolutely ridiculous. And I'll take it all the way back to that Battle Royal when they were doing the whole gimmick. The winner of the Battle Royal would potentially go on to get a shot at the championship. And I'm thinking, where's Wardlow? Why wouldn't Wardlow be in this match? And they came up with some, cockamamie explanation where, I want to beat CM Punk straight up when he comes back from his injury. Yeah, well, how about you win the Battle Royal? Then you'll have a title match in your back pocket. You'll get to face the real champion when he comes back. It never made any sense. The whole thing was goofy. But you look at Wardlow, they gave him the Goldberg entrance, where the camera follows him through the back before he comes to the ring. You even hear the fans chanting like Goldberg. They're chanting, Wardlow, Wardlow. So they gave him the Goldberg entrance. Imagine if Eric Bischoff, after Goldberg beat Raven to win the US title on Nitro, had booked him the way that Tony Khan has booked Wardlow since he won the TNT title. There would have been no Georgia Dome match against Hogan, I can tell you that. But anyway, Tony is not keeping these people off television for 7 straight months for no good reason. Ali had every right to feel frustrated and want out if Vince McMahon had no plans for him. If you have no plans for anybody, why are you keeping them under contract? At a time when they were cutting people left and right, they were cutting people like they fucking breathe. Every time they sneezed, they fired 5 people. But Ali, they kept under contract. You're going to tell me that wasn't for anything other than spite? At least FTR and others, they can take independent bookings and still work while under contract with AEW if they want to work. You don't have that luxury in WWE. You're either booked to be on Raw or SmackDown, or you're not booked at all. So spare me all of the hypocrisy complaints, because the two situations are not exactly the same. I understand there's a lot of excitement over Triple H taking over creative, and there are people working in AEW right now who work for Triple H in NXT, and they would love to go back and work for him again. Bobby Fish said that he would go to war for the man. He did go to war for him 4 times in War Games matches. He went to war for Triple H. But asking for your release because you want to go work for your old boss, that's not an excuse for Tony Khan to let 3 or 4 or 5 people go at once so that he can basically hand Triple H his own version of the Radicals, just like WCW handed them over to WWE. Which brings me to Malakai Black. Malakai Black went off on his Instagram Monday night. He was trashing the dirt sheets and telling fans not to trust people who aren't in the business, denying reports that he was granted his release, be it conditional or otherwise, from AEW. So any reports that he was granted his release, he's saying are not true. But he did ask for one. I see some confusion over what he said. People are jumping on Malakai. Didn't you say in your earlier statement on Instagram that you did ask for your release? Now you're saying you didn't. That's not what he said. That's not what he's saying here. Now he put a statement out on September 18th on his Instagram. Because in this video, he said, I put the word release in quotation marks, and people took that literal. He did. Later in that statement, when he was talking about the reports of being granted a release, he put quotation marks around it. Earlier in that same statement, though, he did admit that he did ask for his release. Some people are jumping on him for saying that there were no quotation marks. He wasn't talking about asking for his release. He was talking about being granted one. He already admitted that he asked for one. He didn't get it. Now, if he tries to deny that, then he's got to go back and take a look at his own statement. But I think that was just a case of people either not reading, which is commonly a problem, or just getting those two things conflated. He was referring to the reports of him getting some kind of conditional release from Tony Khan. Again, Tony Khan is not giving out any releases. He said, I don't know why you trust these people to tell you the truth, because it's not true. It's not confirmed. Clearly it's not confirmed. None of it has been confirmed because I haven't left. I've been given time off by Tony Khan to go take care of a bunch of stuff. All this stuff was weeks ago. I posted that statement as a summary to understand why I am taking time off. It is in the statement. It is mind-boggling. I will see you guys in a couple of weeks, maybe a couple of months. I'm fine. I'm going to be fine. Everything is fine. You'll see me right back in AEW pretty soon. I'm just going to take some time. That's it. Now, he was also annoyed at people saying that he was signed for 5 years. He said, I've never had a 5-year contract. He should have another conversation with his boss if he's got an issue with that, because the only reason people started talking about a 5-year deal for Malakai Black is because Tony Khan went on Busted Open Radio in July and said that he has Adam Cole and Malakai Black locked up for 5 years, or around 5 years. That came from his own boss's mouth. He is being contradicted by his own boss. Now, maybe he's playing semantics. He's got a 3-year deal with a 2-year option. But if he has an issue with that, he needs to take it up with Tony and tell him, I don't want my private business being put out there like that. He was very upset in his initial statement 2 weeks ago by all the leaks coming out of the company. I think we already found the source of one of those leaks. But he also said he's gotten a couple of death threats about him asking for his release, and of course that's ridiculous. Those people are mentally defective and probably drag their knuckles on the ground when they walk.